You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.
Boy, that was smooth. That was like the smoothest transition I've had in a while. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Captain Jack here. It is a Thursday night. You don't know jack about sports, and that's why we're all here, because we learned a little bit more when we're hanging out with each other. Presently, I already told the folks over there on Instagram, I've been live on Instagram for maybe about 5 minutes now. Really, as of this point, I'm watching the Phillies play. They are down 4-2. It is the top of the ninth. There are two out, runner on first. Last night, they pulled out a win. I think it was, 7-6. And Washington always plays them tough. So does Miami. Ahoy to you. Pat Schrank in the different hat. I still got the big hat. Still got the big hat. I know you were kidding, but I can't. It's a fun hat, but there's only so much wearing you can do. Patriot Focus, good to see you. Ayo Chachi, good to see you over there on Instagram. Punt over to YouTube. We're talking about the draft, or pretty much anything else you want to talk about. I'll show Jack Kenna's comments. Don't wear it in the theater. Yeah, I know. It's definitely one of those hats that has the what's the word I'm looking for? It's it's large. No, there's no two ways to say it. It's large. So good to see everybody. Ayo Chachi, seeing you on TV during the draft. Yeah. It was fantastic. And I think actually Jeff was talking to me, how was the draft? it was a great thing to be amongst fans that and I call it a big once a year, maybe twice a year, but it's the biggest family reunion once a year is at the draft. And that's one of the reasons why I go to the draft, because I see the majority of my Raider Nation family. I see them in Vegas or I see them at the games, but I don't get a chance to see my other family, which is, the friends that I've gotten to know quite well as they are fans of other teams. And we see each other once a year at the draft. You might see some of them at the Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame festivities, and then you might see some of them at the Pro Bowl. And the Pro Bowl is like only an hour from my house. But I was working last time, and honestly, I was very kind of about the Pro Bowl. I mean, it's a friggin' it to me it sucks. If it wasn't for seeing all my friends, I wouldn't go at all. But I was working last time, so now, if I'm not working, then and again, if it was in Orlando last year, I'm not sure what the plans are for next year. I do know that the draft is going to be in Pittsburgh next year, and I'm going to be at the draft, providing I'm, living and breathing. One out in the bottom of the ninth, Phillies down 4-2. And so Jack Kenna is saluting everybody, as is Jeff LaFontaine. Good to see everybody. Matt's throwing some good waves out there. So it's a lazy Thursday night, and I actually did have the information. Let's see if I can put it up here. Is that what I pasted last? Yeah, there you go. There's the link. Come in, hit the link at the bottom. Oh, Matt, I'm sorry. I hope that you got that. Ken is talking about the Giants. They're probably better. My Phillies were very one of the top teams in baseball, and then they just kept losing. I don't even know where they are this year in the standings. Tom Nieder, 6874. Welcome over at Instagram. Come on over to YouTube. You can get into the show. See if I can get that to Facebook. It gave me an error message. Is it that one? Yeah, I'll put it up there. I'll paste it. Because the last time I tried, it didn't go. 2 outs now. Who is that? Is that Rojas? Yeah, it's Rojas. Rojas can run, but he definitely needs to get a hit. And that is a hit. That's a double because the guy can fly. Hell, he might take it to third. Yes. He digs, and he's safe. He's safe. Rojas can fly right down the left field line, and he was digging the entire time. So with 2 outs, a runner on third, I don't know who is up next. Bruce Beck for New York. Good to see you. Good to see you. You were great on Green Bay. Thank you for the great. Yes. Hey, Bruce. I'm glad you popped in. Can you send me the link to the interview because I was actually looking for it and I couldn't find it. Bruce Beck is a sports guy in New York, and we see each other. We see each other at the draft every year. I was just talking about one of the reasons why I go to the draft is because you see your family and friends that you don't get a chance to. No, who's on first, Jeff? Who's on first? Rojas is on third. Thanks, Bruce. WPU, 28 years. And yes, Bruce Beck, 28 years at NBC. I see him, I think, every year, but I mean, there might have been a year skipped in between, but and it's really great to see him. And I'm glad I was looking for it. It was awesome. And when you see somebody, okay, they're doing the replay. Yeah, he's safe. He's safe. Although let's see, did anything come off the bag? Who's on first? And Rojas is on third. That's what I'm looking for. Did any part of his body come off? That's the only reason why he might be out. But I see him. Okay. Yep, he's still safe. Good. And Bruce, thank you for that. So Bruce Beck is going to do some dubbing in the interview. I was looking for it. I was like, man, I wish I could find out, more with more of some of the media I got. And Matt was saying, "Yep, I don't know, third base exactly." Who's on first? Rojas is on third, and Matt Marinovich finishes it. I don't know, third base. Okay, and that is the fly out to end the game. I don't know who that was, but it was just a lazy fly ball to center field. Phillies lose tonight 4-2. So they take 2 of 3 from the Nats, which is good. But I don't know. I got to probably look. Let me see here. MLB standings. And this will probably be not showing after this game. We'll see. MLB, as of right now, the National League. Okay. Come on. Pop over to the National League. I don't want to see you, America. Okay. National League. Thank you. God, it's slow. I do have a lot of windows up. They didn't ask me. Okay, National League. Mets. Okay, Phillies are in second. Braves are in third, 6 back. I don't know who the Braves, but Nats gained maybe a half a game. So okay, Phillies are 17-13, which is good. I'm looking around. The Mets 21 wins, Cubs 19 wins, Dodgers have 21 wins. So the Phillies are like maybe the 4th best. Giants have more wins. Oh, even the Diamondbacks got 17 wins. So they're maybe the 5th or 6th best in the National League as of right now. And Bruce Beck, thanks again for. In fact, I gotta put that over here before I forget. So I can. Yep. NBC New York, great and awesome guy. Thank you again, Bruce. MC Raider is in here. MC Raider and I were over at the draft together. What draft was that, MC? Was it Kansas City? Maybe it was Kansas City. I got to put on something else now. So Phillies lost. I'm now watching Maple Leafs and Senators. I'm watching that to have something else on. And then as the alternate, I will put on Knicks at Pistons as the go back and forth game. If you're wondering about that one, New York is winning 86-73 with 4:02 left in the third quarter. Yeah, Kansas City. So there we go. Uh, 86-75 now. New York leads 3-2. So this is game 6. Who the hell is that guy? I haven't really been paying attention. So for that, if you want to pop in, please do. Captain, are you a Warriors fan? Yeah, I don't mind the Warriors. In hockey, Toronto leads. Is it 3-2? This is game 6. Toronto's up 2-1 right now. Ottawa's on a power play with a little less than 8 minutes left in the third period. And yeah, MC Raider and I were in Kansas City. Pardon me. Jack Kenna's going to come in. I don't know why. It's almost automatic that I talk for a little bit and then, just the tiredness, and getting, and Bruce Beck, the gem I was just talking about. Ottawa just scored, tied it up 2-2. That's got to be Toronto's head coach. He just went down. Who was that? Perro. The Leaf fans outside, they're not happy about that. Perron. And yeah, Kenneth, I want to see this. Okay, move it around. Got some screens in. Throws it. How did he do that? It's got to be off of a skate. Okay. Oh, it went off of the goalie's back. So it went off of his back. That's cool. So he's going past the net, flips a backhand. It goes off the back of the back of the goalie and into the net. That's great goal. It counts just like a slap shot. So now there's 7 minutes left. Toronto in the Ottawa zone. Shoots it at the net. The Ottawa goaltender gets it, no problem. So what are you guys and gals, mates and wenches? We're all here. Let me see if I can. Let's see. I'll try to make this a little less verbiage. Okay. Put that as a. There we go. Put it out to everybody. So the link is there. Hit the link and pop into the show. And Bruce, again, I thank you for popping in. So I'm watching hockey. It's 2-2 there between the Leafs and the Sens. Go right back to, was it Knicks and Pistons? See a score. Pardon me. Knicks up 86-75, 3 minutes and 28 seconds left in the third. So we'll keep it here for a while. But I'm all for whatever you want to talk about. Like I said, I was just talking about baseball. Phillies lost. Took 2 or 3 from Washington at home. Can't win them all. But the Phillies manager is basically, you win. I think he says if you win 20 series, I think that's the number. Maybe it's 25. If you win 25 series, you should be in the playoffs. So, a series is either three or four games. You win 25 of them. Oh, okay, Jack. I don't know why, but yeah, come on in on the link. Jack's gonna restart his phone, so we'll have him pop in. I was on the show with God. I was on a show with Jack yesterday. Jack holding down the fort for the Wild Wild West show. It's always good to see him. Sin City Raiders 702. Good to see you. Good to see you. Pop on over to YouTube, please. But thank you for watching on Instagram. I know Jack will be in here. Hopefully we'll have some more people pop in. I don't know. I don't know what Jack has the con when it comes to talking about the Raiders and for the Wild Wild West show. I had a chance to espouse on the positivity of rounds 2 with Jack Besh and the 2 offensive linemen that were taken at the end of round 2 to picks 98, 99. And it was another third rounder, who was the cornerback. Tall, fast, big product, can run. Definitely of the ilk of a Pete Carroll defensive backfield. Remember, he's making the and I've heard it, the Legion of Boom 2 or Allegiant of Boom. I like that one pretty much, the Allegiant of Boom. And you need big, strong corners that can cover. And we did draft the corner. We did draft 2 defensive tackles. One is more of a nose guard-ish. And we picked up, let me see. We picked up a linebacker in round 7. So we did pick up the linebacker that was needed. And there's always mention of, and thank you for that, Matt. Doesn't look like Amari Cooper will be coming back. We drafted way too many wide receivers. And not just did we draft the wide receivers, just that, honestly, I don't want Cooper back. I'll say it. Haven't really been enamored with Amari Cooper. Have not been enamored with Amari Cooper. But I mean, honestly, I'd rather take a flyer on Keenan Allen. And that reminds us that, we got an Australian rugby player who doesn't count against the players on the team because he's an international player. He lost 100 pounds, and he still weighs, 335? He weighs 3. What is it? Matt, do the measurement. Is he like 6'6", 335, defensive lineman? And he was up at close to 450, but he lost 100 pounds. So now he's at 335 or so. And again, that's a project, but in order to make room for it, we waived David Agaho or Agoha. Okay, yeah, thank you, Matt. He's bigger than 6'7". 6'7", 340. So that's a mountain. That is a mountain. Shoot the ball, man. Oh, nice fadeaway. Nick's up, was it 12, 91.79. So we're always continuing to get signings. I know that the voluntary workouts was this week. And those are obviously the players already. Pardon me. Miller was there. So for all those people that were saying that, Colton Miller is probably going to be holding out, I like the fact that he was in there for voluntary workouts. I really do like that. I've always liked Colton Miller's the way he is personally. I like Colton Miller's play, but his play has suffered the last couple of years. And there we go. And Matt reminds us we're still looking for a real free safety. Wasn't there talk about bringing Simmons in? I like that. If I remember, if you read the clickbait, I think it said that we have like $42 million in cap space. Nico, good to see you, Nico. Come over to YouTube, Nico. I'd love to have you on because Nico was with me in Green Bay. Why is the link not working? Huh? Hang on. Okay. Let me click this. Copy. Paste. Try that. Okay. I hit that for some reason. They hit that link. That one should work. I'm looking at that one should work. In fact, let me see here. There you go. Kenneth's in. Okay. I don't know why that's not okay. I got to redo that. Maybe let me one second, Jack. Is there a way to edit? There we go. There, edit. Okay. 1 second, Jack. Be a part of the show. A 9 FMN. Yeah, that should work. Okay, I don't know why that's not working. Copy. Save. Okay. Let me do that. Show that. I'm going to make sure that the link is working there. With the link at 9 FMN. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, Ken is in. All right. Jack, I can't see. There you go. I'm going to kick out the other one that I'm going to kick the one that doesn't have the camera working. So we're gonna bring my buddy Jack Kenna in. Sorry about that, but that one should work. And yes,
yeah,
hey,
that was kind of crazy.
Jack? Good to have you in.
Hey, it was good to have you in.
I don't know why. And I'm sorry I couldn't have been there longer, but I did promise to go into Sonia's show, and I literally was like seconds away from being late, and I got into her show, and because I promised I would do that, and then like I told you in that one chat conversation, I'll hit the link, and then if I can, I will, and I'm glad that I did. I don't know what I missed, so. If you did not watch the Wild Wild West show yesterday, Mr. Jack Kenna is going to give you the highlights.
Well, there's going to be a lot of highlights because we had a great draft. We kind of were going in order, like each team, per the draft pick. We would talk about the players in the draft. So if you haven't watched it, it got kind of long-winded in the beginning, and we had to kind of hurry up at the end. So. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Post comments and Jack's channel, so he'll read them. So I know you were all excited about Porter, And I know you didn't get an opportunity. I kind of said, hey, we're still on the second round. So is that your favorite player in the draft?
My favorite players are the offensive linemen we got in round 3 because they are the most important players. They are the most important players that we picked up in order to give Genty and Geno Smith the blocking that they deserve. If you don't have blocking, Genty doesn't work, Geno doesn't work, the wide receivers don't work, Bowers don't work. And yes, I am biased because I am an offensive lineman. I admit that. Jeff. I am biased because I'm an offensive lineman. But if you don't have your offensive lineman set, you're going nowhere. And that's why I said that because we had JPJ and Glaze from last year at center and right tackle. We needed to get 2 guards and another tackle just in case. And I hate using the just in case, Miller doesn't sign after this year. And I think that they will extend him, but the question is,
it's going to match. It's going to match the whole contract, with our head coach. Hey, and right here, it wasn't me, Jeff. It wasn't me. It was whatever the settings that Cap had on there.
No, I was actually, Jack. I was looking at what I put on the thing. It was that link that I put on the link, and I was saying, okay, no, that's the right link. So I don't know why, because I went to the banners. Let's see here. 9 FMN and 9 FMN. That's the stuff that's on the ticker as well as this. The 9 FMN being the last. That was there. I didn't even have to change it. So I don't know what happened. But that had no.
Yeah, I thought it was my phone at first, but I'm like, man, I've had no issues before. So I restarted that thing like 3 times. If you look at this whole draft, it's all geared around the offense. I mean, we almost have a brand new offense, which is understandable. If you look at like what we've had, we can't even score 20 points a game. We get a great running back. Again, the offensive lineman that you just mentioned. We get, Besh. He's a converted tight end to a wide receiver, like 6'2", 214. So he's a bigger boy. And so he a willing blocker. He reminds me of Myers tremendously. And then it's like, okay, even going to our defensive tackles, we get Pegas, JJ Pegas. I mean, he can also, at goal line at like 280 pounds, he had 7 touchdowns. So they really pumped up this offense. So and 3 wide receivers on top of it.
Well, 2.5, because Thornton, I love the kid out of UT. Best I love, and Mallet is it Mallet? Mallet is the quarterback / transitional receiver. He's the athlete, and maybe he will be the gadget guy. Yes, so technically
I think he might be a gadget receivers.
guy. I think he's a gadget guy, and maybe they'll do like a reverse and pitch it to him, and he'll throw it because he is a quarterback. And actually, if you look at it, the 2 quarterbacks that were in the FCS championship game of Mellett as well as Miller, they faced each other. So these were the quarterbacks that had the best teams at the end of the year.
Well, they're going to have a good bonding moment over that, that Miller's going to kind of ride him a little bit on it, which is okay. I mean, this is like this draft brings me back. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm sure it does, Cap. I mean, this is a Spytech Pete Carroll, and Al Davis draft, all wrapped with a pretty bow on the top. Height, weight, speed, captains, good character, high athleticism, you know. And I think it's the most draft picks we've had since 2007 to tie with it, with 11 picks. If I'm correct.
Yeah, whatever it was. We got 11 draft picks?
Yeah, we got 11. Started off in 9, got 11.
Yeah.
You know, I heard like the Niners are really the Niners and Rams are not happy that, you know, we got Charles Grant with our last pick number 99 in the 3rd round. Can you imagine? I'm kind of picturing this. How fun would this be? You know, well, of course. But, you know, okay, we got Colton Miller. Then you move Grant, you know, this year. Put him at left tackle, even though I do like Meredith. Meredith played very well. JPJ. And then we put Rodgers. Yeah. And then you put Rodgers at right guard. Or, you know, again, depend who wins, you know, Glaze, you know, Glaze at right tackle. How fun would that be? Because I think Parham's out the door next year.
You can do that. Yeah, and well, actually, he might be out the door quicker. He might be, you know, looking at, you know, either a cut. I don't know how much money we would save cutting him, or if somebody is because I love Parham being the guard of the pass. You know, the guy who can actually is fast, agile, and can move, and can you know, a moving guard, a good pulling guard. So if somebody is in the thing for Parham, that wouldn't be bad. Maybe we can
that wouldn't be bad at all. It's like, you know, Parham, you know, growing, you know, as a guy who grew up as a tight end and just a workout machine, and he's got like almost no body fat on his body. Every year he grew in girth, and every year grew in girth. But once he kind of hit the NFL, maybe just hit that plateau, you know, like the age, you know, for his age, we all hit that plateau at some point and just couldn't put any more body weight on, you know, but at 290 pounds, you know, that, and you got a Chris Jones going up against you. Yeah, you're kind of light, you know what I mean? He's strong and he's a good mover, but he is kind of light, you know, at that position.
Light, yeah. Yeah, and what is Grant and Robin? It's Robinson, right?
Roger.
You know, the 98, 99. It's Rogers. Sorry, right. You got Rodgers and Grant, and you're looking at them being like maybe the guards of the future, or with at least being Grant. Maybe he's our left tackle of the future. So if you put them in and you give them. Or okay, let me take that back. If they earn the spots at guard, both guards, I can see that because Alex Kappa was there to see that to be the left guard because of how he's played in the past. Yes, he has played. He played horribly last year with
and
the Bengals,
he's always been like a right guard though.
The team did and. He just kind of suffered for it.
We're going to see. We're going to see what that cat. Right, I mean, we're paying him.
He's historically at.
He's going to make $5.5 million. So that's tweener starting money. Oh, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But what's yeah, I'm here. You were in and out there, Jack. Let me. I tell you what. What I will do is I will get rid of some of these windows. Yeah, that might help a bit. Is that better?
Nope. Let's roll with it. Just see how it works. No, your sound's good. You kind of freeze though.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of Windows. So that's okay. Other than yep, I got rid of another one. So that's YouTube. Okay, yeah, so I'm good. We're on basically it's the one window on StreamYard, and then I got everybody over here on Instagram. Hi,
So
Hey,
Matt, you feel like they're going to be back? Question for Marinovic.
Go ahead,
Matt. So you feel like, again, quality backups. So do you think they're going to overtake, the guys that we have on the line right now? I think there's a possibility. I mean, I feel like Meredith could probably keep it.
It's possible.
I almost want to see what would Meredith would do, because Rogers, he's like super athletic, but from what I've read on him, the guy who's moved all over the field, he can't hold like one position. He's big, but he's just athletic. I mean, you saw that was it the Ross or Raw report, like, athletic ability that I sent to you, and he just seems he can't just hold like one spot. So I wonder about him, but I think, Grant's one of my, I really like that pick. And it's like, I feel like, he can be a day one starter. And I wonder if, like, if they would try Meredith on the right side, if they were to say, no, we're just going to just keep him on the left. But that would be interesting, is Meredith played really well, when he finally got the chance to come in, and play for us in the second half of the season.
Well, I really think that it's going to be between Meredith and Kappa, the guys that have the seniority and know schemes and whatnot. It's going to be their job, and Parham. It's going to be Kappa, Parham, and Meredith's job to hold off these two rookies. And if they can't do it, it's their jobs. And we'll see. Well, yeah, so be it. And if Grant and Rogers start, okay, great.
Man, what a young offensive line that would be, anchored by Colton Miller. I mean, that would be pretty exciting. I heard kind of that Grant's got a nastiness, kind of like a JPJ. So that's one of the reasons why he kind of excites me. He likes to dominate. And then, of course, Rogers is the guy who just he wants to play football. Like when other players, going into the draft, it says, okay, I'm not going to play in the Senior Bowl. He's like, I want to play. So I like that attitude. And, the Raiders took a lot of guys with C's on their chest. Smart, intelligent guys who just want to play ball.
Yeah.
Lot of size, in our draft, and a lot of speed within our draft too. So who was your most, I mean, this is an easy question for the nation. Go ahead and say this in the chat. Who was the most Al Davis pick for you guys who've been around for a while in this entire draft?
I know who it is.
Well, I know you know who it is. I'm just want someone to say it in the chat. Oh, did you? I must have missed that.
Yeah, if Al was alive and he was picking, who do you think that Al would have picked in
round one
his draft? That we picked, not somebody that was picked by somebody else. No, I don't think so. I think
just think of height, weight, and speed.
Not Genty.
Sanders. Ed, you're funny, dude.
Ed says Sanders. No, we didn't pick Sanders. Yeah. And Besh, no, Jimmy Farrell. That's not an Al Davis pick. Sharif says Genty. No. That's not an Al Davis pick. Of the picks that we had,
I'll give you guys a hint. He's from Tennessee. Wide receiver.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike Sarah gets it.
There you go. Good job. Hey, Mike.
6'5", 4'3". Mike Sarah gets it. That's the Al Davis pick. 6'5", 4'3". That's the Al Davis pick.
Oh, you saw 4-3-3. I saw 4-3-0.
Jimmy Farrell. Well, 4-3, 4-3-0.
I know. It's still blazing.
And I said of the guys we picked, who was the Al Davis pick? And it was Thornton.
So
and I will agree. I will agree, Ed, in one respect. They probably would have picked Sanders, maybe not in the first round, but if Al was doing the draft, they would have picked him in the first round because for those that don't know, Al Davis made the pick in the first round, period. And then the rest of the people on the staff, the scouts and all the other people, they made rounds 2 through whatever. Al Davis picked the first round.
Sounds like John Gruden, huh?
That's why Al Davis picked Jamarcus Russell. That's why Al Davis always picked the guy who won the 40. Whoever was this player at the combine, that's pretty much who the Raiders picked. And they did that I think it was Michael Huff, Fabian Washington. Whoever had the fastest 40 was who Al Davis picked.
Shoot, we might have traded up then for that defensive back.
I will agree with Matt
from Kentucky.
Porter. Who picked him? Hey, Clay,
Buffalo.
good to see you, brother. I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, we're talking about fastest guys. I could have seen the Raiders trading up, maybe in the second round, get to Kentucky, defensive or cornerback. He went in the first round. He went to Buffalo, but that's your Porter guy right there. Height, weight, speed as a corner for the Raiders. I'm interested to see what he does because he's so limited on how many games he's played. So having experience, I'm excited about him, but he's like a Ja'Cory Richardson in some ways too. I mean, the guy's 6'3.5", and he runs a 4.30 40, but he's played 3 years as wide receiver, then going over to defensive back, and it's really only until this year he got some starting time. So I wonder if he needs more seasoning.
Yeah,
you know
Matt
what I mean?
Says he's 6'3". Well,
they always hype up everyone's height.
The prototype skill. He's got Pete Carroll. The Pete Carroll, big, strong, fast DB. That's the Pete Carroll pick was Porter. That's the Pete Carroll pick. If Al was picking for the guys that we picked, and again, the guys that the Raiders picked, the Al Davis pick would have been Thornton, 6'5", 4'3", wide receiver. Now, and Ed, I get this on the Russell was picked by Davis, but everybody and this
everybody wanted him back in the day.
The only time I'm going to give credence to anything that Kiffin wanted or did. Kiffin wanted Megatron. That was the guy that Kiffin wanted. And Al Davis shoved Jamarcus Russell down his throat.
Wait a minute. Are we? I think we're thinking. Maybe I'm thinking about a different draft. I thought that's when we got what's the left tackle? I thought at number 2. I think we're talking. I think we're getting our drafts mixed up. One of us.
Yeah.
So that's when we got our left tackle, Robert Gallery at number 2, and Megatron was at number 3, I thought.
That was no. The tackle, the draft that I am talking about was the year that Kiffin was our head coach, and he wanted Megatron. And Al Davis said, no, we are taking Jamarcus Russell. And it was Kiffin.
I think that's 2 different
Megatron,
drafts.
and that's the only time I've ever agreed with him. Well, I tell you what, Jack, go ahead and look it up.
Well, I can't. I'm talking to you on my phone. So Matt Marinovich, look it up, bro. Just correct us.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else was out there. I just remember Gallery going number 2, and Megatron was number 3.
Well, the one that you're talking about, where the Raiders wanted to pick in the draft, with that they went up to 2. They picked Darrell Russell number 2 when they were trying to get Orlando Pace, and it was,
I remember that one. Yeah,
it was the Rams that traded up to number 1 to get, and they ended up getting Darrell Russell. May he rest in peace. Gallery, I think Gallery was a 4 pick. I might be mistaken on that, but I think Gallery was a 4 pick.
Number 2. He was number 2.
But the draft I'm talking about with Megatron, that was the Jamarcus Russell draft. I will pretty much guarantee. In fact, let me. I will look it up. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a fun fact to see. Going back in time. It just tells you how bad, some of our drafts, we're passing up players. Kind of like was it Fabian Washington, and the next pick was Aaron Rodgers. Going from the number 23 pick.
Yeah,
Fabian, and Aaron number 24.
Okay. Here we go, and this is from Google. In the 2007 NFL Draft, Jamarcus Russell was selected first overall by the Oakland Raiders, while Calvin Megatron Johnson was selected second overall by the Detroit Lions.
Oh, damn.
Says so right here. So, yeah. Gallery
it's hard
was
to
a
remember all of
2004
them.
draft. Larry Fitzgerald was a couple of picks later. I remember that one.
What sold everybody on Jamarcus Russell, he was a big boy, 6'4", 240, 250. And he got on his knees on the 20-yard line and threw it into the end zone. And that sold out right there.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Matt. Okay, thank you. Matt, thank you.
But
Fitzgerald was the next.
I haven't told the story. I've told the story before about when I was a bouncer in Tampa, and I was talking with Bruce Gradkowski. I've told this story before, but I'll say it again. Bruce Gradkowski was in Tampa, and I was a bouncer at one of the places he went to. Good. I want to get hold of Bruce. I haven't been able to do that, but Bruce was one of the customers, and he said, "Hey, Chief," because that was my name. That was my bouncer name was Chief. Said, "Hey, Chief, I want to introduce you to somebody," and he introduced me to an offensive coach for LSU, and I was excited. I'm like, "Oh, good, somebody!" It's like, tell me about Jamarcus Russell. And this is the action that he, and again, no lie, folks. He didn't say a word. When I asked him, I said, "Talk to me about Jamarcus Russell. I'm a Raiders fan. I want to know all about him." And this is exactly what he did.
Probably said he's lazy.
Let out a long exhale, and no, Jack, watch me, okay?
I know. It's just how my feeling.
shook his head and exhaled loudly because that's he says. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So that guy knew what the Raiders was getting.
All I know is that I'm glad that we have a different scouting staff now.
Well, it's gotten better.
As you being a historian of the game, this would be kind of interesting topic. It's like, you go back from like the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and then you start creeping into the 90s and the 2000s. Like, who were the guys that were running the show? You know what I mean? In the way of, we know Al ran the show, but who were the guys like drafting those picks? Who were the guys scouting those picks? Because nobody knows the names. Nobody really follows it. We care about the players, who's on the roster right now type thing. But those eras were like deserts. And I like what Spytech is doing right now. I did like what Telesco did last year. And I like what he's doing. Well, yeah, right. And it's coming in clear, too.
Buy the book, folks. Buy the book. Bruce Kubrick, John Kingdon, friends of mine, especially John Kingdon, buy the book. This one is autographed by Bruce. The other one I got up there is autographed by John Kingdon. Buy the book. Al Davis, Behind the Raiders Shield. Will tell you all you need to know. I just screwed up my stuff up here.
And Matt, I do remember Ron Wolf. He came from Green Bay.
And draft. Yes, Ron came out. Actually, no, I think Ron went to Green Bay afterwards.
Was it afterwards?
I think Ron went. I think Ron left the Raiders to go to Green Bay. I might be wrong there, but I know that he was a Hall of Famer because of what he did with the Raiders and Green Bay. Dory, let's send in some love to Dory. Thank you there. Brian Green, good to see you over there on Instagram. Come on over to YouTube, brother. Come on over to YouTube. And Ed was talking about John it's Kingdon, but we know what he's saying. Sparky, one of the best scouts in the entire organization in the 70s and 80s. Go get the book Behind the Raiders Shield, John. It's get it on. It's a great read. It's a great read. And thank you again, Dory, for being here. Ed thinks that Besh is going to start day one, probably.
I do.
Because if you have two wide receivers, who are you going to start? You're going to have Jacoby Myers and Jack Besh. And then coming in as the slot is probably going to be a Tucker. Yeah, it's going to be Tucker in the slot. When you want to run 4, it's going to be Thornton because Thornton's your speed. Or when you have plays that because again, Jacoby Myers and Jack Besh, again, like Jack says, pretty much the same receiver. I think I don't know if Jacoby is as big as 6'2". I think maybe he's not
as big,
but he seems smaller to me.
But he runs a little. Yeah. He runs.
So maybe Jacoby
they're very similar. I mean, Besh and Myers. I mean, they both run. Myers runs a better route. Yes, he's a smaller guy, height, weight. They're both not very fast. Both can catch the hell of the ball. If you look between the two of them, Myers didn't drop a ball, one time last year. Besh dropped one ball last year. So they're like the similar type of player. I can see, now it's like now you're going to kind of bring Brock. I mean, more into maybe the slot. Again, Besh is like a slot guy overall because he's a blocker, but same thing with Bowers. So you can kind of see them switching out. And I think, Tucker is going to have a little bit harder time going to see the field. And you're right, Cap. When it comes to like the ex wide receiver, Thornton, the wide receiver, 6'5", 4.30 speed or whatever. Yeah, you can definitely see him getting some plays, and I hope he can grow his route tree because Tennessee really didn't use him very well. They only use him on deep routes.
No,
I don't know why.
Run a 9. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't use him on shorter medium routes either. But you know what? That's a great thing because you know what? They didn't use him that way. That's part of the reason why he fell.
Yeah. And actually, Ed was saying something that I was thinking. If for all those people that were poo-pooing the Raiders not taking Sanders, if the Raiders are interested in Sanders, if he gets cut, it's a free-for-all. He's free game. If you want to get him, you make an offer because he's a free agent.
I was kind of surprised that we didn't draft him. I mean, I thought if we would have got Sanders, I thought that would have been a pretty good draft, and seeing him free fall, it's like out of all the stuff, Tom Brady was not in the war room. Okay, let's put it that way, guys. He wasn't there, and he worked out with them privately.
Yeah.
And again, you look at that. Okay, he's got more inside knowledge than anybody, and even the Raiders, even with Chip Kelly, what's his name from Ohio State, they had a higher ranking on that Miller kid than Chip Kelly had on his own quarterback at Ohio State. So I'm glad that they stuck to their guns and just didn't go wild or crazy. We drafted quality players, and this is going to help this team for years and years to come. I mean, I would like to say anyone in Raider Nation, put it in the chat. Besides going back to the old days, what draft was better than this one? I mean, I have a hard time scrambling and thinking about it.
I'm going to hold thought on that. I want to make sure that Sharif has his mic check done. Sharif, give me a mic check there, brother.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Can you hear me, Cat?
You're good, Mike. What's up there, Sharif?
Hey, good to see both of you.
That's why I brought you on.
Good to see you, Sharif.
Yeah, I know this will be fun.
Well, I just tuned in maybe 10 minutes ago, and I saw the title of your show in the YouTube thread. So I said, "Oh, look, a Cat want to kick a man, a Raider of all people trying to kick a man when he's down." There's some supreme audacity in that somewhere, but that man's.
I'm not a Laker fan.
Yeah, but you didn't say the Lakers. You personalized it to one individual, but rest assured, his legacy is set in stone.
It is.
Love him, hate him, despise him. There's something to be said.
Yeah.
To be 40 years old and be again, a factor.
Yes. Yeah. And there's no hate intent that way because again, LeBron James is I'm gonna say top 5 NBA players because I would run the gamut. Okay, top 5 because people always poo-poo. I gotta have Wilt and I gotta have Bill in there, right? I gotta have Michael Jordan. So there's 3 right there, right? Then you go, who else? Well, LeBron's gonna be in there somewhere, taking the 4 or 5 spot. So he's top 5. And again, it's only because I'm sorry, you can't tell me in the days where offense and defense was paramount, you put somebody ahead of Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. No. There's nobody there. And it's Michael is there at 3. Okay. That's why I have that at 2 and 3. Now LeBron's going to be in there. And then obviously, then you have to find out who's the 5th. Who's the 5th? Is it Magic? Is it Kobe? Is it Bird? Is it the logo? Because the logo gets people forget about Jerry West.
Yes,
they forget about Jerry West. But I have no hate and discontent for LeBron, but he ain't better than the top 3 in my mind.
That's a fair statement, so I won't argue someone's preferences. I mean, you were very rational and reasonable. It's not like you just put any random Joe Blow in front of him. But given the level of animosity he seemed to generate, you got to give the devil his due, if you pardon the expression. Still the only man to lead 3 franchises to a world title. Unless Kawhi Leonard does it this year, then Kawhi will be the second, who's having a great comeback year himself.
Okay.
And one thing people forget, and I'm not going to stay on this topic long, is when they talk about his finals record, you're a betting man, Jack. You've been to Vegas more than a few times. 7 of those 10 trips, his teams were the underdog. So you can't be a bust or a choker when the experts didn't have you favored. Why is that? Because he always had the weaker team from top to bottom. And a few times he's taken first-year coaches to finals. He didn't have a Phil Jackson or Pat Riley or these household names. He was literally, when he was 22 and took that Cleveland team to the finals, he had no business being there. Against the Spurs of all teams, a dynasty itself, and the foundation that they have. So you can't fault the man who shows up, gives it a hell of a fight, but wasn't expected to win anyways. Almost like watching a boxing match. It makes a great upset as you're wearing the Warriors shirt there, I guess to show solidarity with your friends in the Bay, who was on the receiving end of the biggest collapse in NBA history, being up 3-1 against the same individual, LeBron James. And the Lakers got a lot of work to do. They're very top heavy. They have no depth, no center whatsoever. And of course, another inexperienced coach just being out-coached like crazy throughout that series. It was almost laughable. And you got a Luka who running up and down the court with a back brace after taking a bad fall, and a 40-year-old is your best scoring options. It's just time to pack for Cancun and, prepare for next year and retool. As us Raider fans, we know about that better than anyone.
Sharif,
and just prepare for the next year. Yes.
A basketball question. So with LeBron, with the type of money that he makes, basketball is so different than football in the way of like the salaries. At being, that age and the amount of money, I mean, let alone what he gets paid from the NBA, but his endorsements over all these years. I mean, he can't spend that money. He can't spend it. Why not, for him, go on the cheap? I mean, literally go on the cheap. He's still going to make his endorsement money.
Right.
And, and then pay it to other guys to put around him as you age to just chase more rings.
Well, he has done that to an extent a couple of times already, as far as restructuring and freeing up money. That might be a serious consideration at this point of his career, as far as, if he wants to do something more dramatic in terms of taking a lesser cut. But I guess he's a guy who knows his worth, because he's must-see TV for the league. People either want to see him lose or people want to see him win. But he fills up the seats. When he comes to Madison Square Garden here in New York, you can't get in that place unless you got $500 in your pocket for the cheap seats. That's way up in the rafters where Mike Messier, Jersey, and all those boys are up at. So, he makes the league tons of money as well, But you make a fair point that if he really wants another ring, yeah, he's going to have to free up some of that money and help the front office, because that team just isn't complete. Luka and LeBron alone will never do it. Not the way the league is right now.
You know, I got something just a little bit off, since you guys are talking basketball and not football, a little off topic. Okay, you guys both know I live in Sacramento, California. So Mike Bibby, who played for the Sacramento Kings, and a Laker legend in the way of Shaquille O'Neal, are now going to coach the Sac State Hornets. I am now hoping, you know, when I went to that school, my God, there were what, 308 teams they would rank, you know, or whatever, and they were like 308. They were like the worst team ever. So I'm excited for my old college team to get Mike Bibby, and Shaquille's not even going to take $1. He's just doing it for it's just to do it. Because as you guys know, he was a part owner at one time with the Kings. So he's just going to do it to help out. Salute to both those guys for doing that.
Yeah, you love to hear things like that. And Shaq has done extremely well for himself as a businessman. He is up there. People understate what he does, but I mean, he got his hands in so many things. Half of the Vegas Strip, he has a big stake in. Some of those restaurants and some of those properties out there. So, you know, but he's always been a humanitarian at heart as well. So salute to Mike Bibby, who was a hell of a player and giving back, you know, to the school and to the youth.
I love that it's hard in Sacramento.
Now, may I ask?
He came back like 2 years ago to be like an analyst for the Sacramento Kings.
Okay. Time. Is Mike Bibby Henry Bibby's kid? Is Henry Bibby Mike Bibby's dad?
I don't know.
I'm asking.
I believe so.
You know who Henry Bibby is, because I know him from the Knicks and mostly the Sixers.
I think that's a little before my time, but I believe much, you know? I believe so. Most
and by the way, go ahead, Sharif, and then I'll talk to you about my shirt.
Because you notice with basketball, there's a impressive number of second generation players. You know, it's just one of those sports that just seem to translate well from father to son.
Yeah, Stephanie.
Well, you get those big, tall, athletic
Mike
genius.
Says yes. Thanks, Mike.
There's only like 12 guys on the roster.
In response to the shirt comment, Sharif, I have always had a thing for teams that went out west. That's why I've liked the Athletics, because they're originally from Philly. They went from Philly to Kansas City out to Oakland. When I was growing up, knowing about the history, and the Athletics were in the World Series all the time, and I said, oh, and I obviously found out about them. So I'm like, oh, I like the A's. So it's not just a Bay Area thing, although it's just convenient that the Raiders were out in the Bay as well. But as you know, the Warriors are a Philly team that went out west. So I kind of follow them along, but it's also the fact that as for the one of the teams that I followed for a long time is the Spurs, because of George Gervin and then David Robinson, because of the Navy ties,
Artis
and
Gilmore.
They had the black and silver as well. So Artis Gilmore, man, but I remember Artis Gilmore when he played for the Kentucky Colonels or the Kentucky Colonels out in the ABA. So I mean, I've always, and really nice guy. I met him on a one of those when the Stars came out to be out with the Navy. The what do you call it? Those things. But that's in response to shirt, and it was just one of those things. I grabbed this It was one of the fresh things that was washed, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch tonight because I'm talking basketball. So that's the response. It wasn't a dig. It was just a ha.
No, and you know what? I get it. It's like, I started off as a Warriors fan, growing up in the Bay Area, born in South San Francisco, and watching Warrior games. I saw Michael Jordan his rookie year sitting 3 rows behind him. But I moved to Sacramento to go to Sac State. And that's when like Chris Webber and Mitch Richmond and all these guys, who did Sac Kings trade to the Warriors? Like they traded all their picks. It was like half the team swapped. So it's like, I got all the Warrior players now in my city and I can watch them play. So I started, following the Kings from that point on. And, I haven't looked back since then. And I always root for the Warriors. Like, unless they're playing the Kings, I'm always rooting for the Warriors. And, I'm sorry, Sharif, but I'm rooting for anyone who plays the Lakers.
Well, do you guys realize that the Warriors are the only team in professional sports not named after an actual or legal city or state? They had the nickname Golden State, but that's not a actual, name of a city, or that's not like the California Warriors. So they're the only team in sports. And what irked me about them is when they were in Philly, they were the Philadelphia Warriors. I think 72, they went to Frisco. They were the San Francisco Warriors. They went to Oakland. Well, and Oakland was Oakland back then. We're not going to claim them for whatever purpose. Let's call ourselves Golden State with that vague term. That basically referenced all of California. So when I used to have my little debates with some of my friends from Oakland, I say, you guys ride harder for them than they do for the city of Oakland. And I made a prediction when they go back to Frisco at some point in time, because of the cachet and the money out there, they will either change their name back to Frisco, or when you look on the court under the backboard, you will see the city in big letters, San Francisco. They never really showed Oakland, the city, respect, though they were right next door to the Raiders for eons out there. But to me, I just always noticed that.
Doesn't that kind of make you guys mad? Like when teams don't, Sharif, you made me this. In the NFL, it makes me mad when teams don't claim their city. So my most hated team, even after all the AFC West teams, is the Santa Clara Niners. They're not in San Francisco. They're in Santa Clara. You look at both New York teams, they play in New Jersey.
Right.
Be proud of where you're playing. I was always proud, when the Raiders were the Oakland Raiders. I was proud when the Raiders called themselves the Los Angeles Raiders. And I'm proud that we call ourselves the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm proud of that. It's like, own where you live,
right.
Where you eat and shit, own it. And these teams are like trying to hold on to like other cities because it might make them a little bit more money or a little bit more popular with cities that, people know. Just own it.
I'm with you 100% on that, my man.
Right, Matt? Matt knows.
I like this one from Matt Marinovich. Thank you for chiming in. Yeah.
Oh, he said it's 5 miles out.
The Santa Clara Niners.
So it's like a little annex, but to our friend.
55 miles.
Oh, I'm looking on my phone screen, so it's pretty small. Oh, 55 miles. Damn, that's even more egregious. You could have excused it if it was just 5 miles somewhat. Wow, yeah, but for marketing purposes and like the Jets and Giants do. The Giants have never played in New York in my lifetime. I wasn't here when they were in the Polo Grounds back in the ancient days. So when people say, how did you become a Raider fan? I said, well, I felt like I never really had a team. And I was born in Virginia, a state that doesn't have a professional team, though for a good part of most of those people, they tended to draw towards the Redskins, or formerly known Redskins. And I came to New York at the age of 3. So I was kind of like a nomad in a new world. And the Raiders just kind of resonated with me going to Erasmus Hall High School, the same high school that our dear beloved leader Al Davis went to in Brooklyn, New York. So
okay, that's how you gravitate. I was going to ask you about your family, like who they liked.
Yeah.
So I love that you gravitated towards that.
yeah, just and seeing them on Monday Night Football, they just always seem to be bigger, meaner than everyone else. Listening to Howard Cosell and John Facenda speak of them in this great tone of reverence and trepidation, and me being a rebel by nature, unique and eclectic, rebellious. And the colors as well. It was a natural marriage for me at an early age.
Really?
Right?
Are you? I would never have thought Sharif Allah Khan, aka Black Thanos, was a rebel. Oh my God! That's
hey, and the Raiders were rebels back in those days.
That's a drop.
That's right, Cap. When you were watching the Super Bowl like I was, at least the last two in the 80s, I saw the last one on a black and white television with Reynolds wrap on the antenna to make the picture clearer. The days before remote control, and my father would say, "Get up off your ass and turn the channel." I was the remote control. Absolutely. So that's how far back I go.
I was the remote control. Yeah,
I was the remote control too.
You took the and you made it a V, and then you made two V's. And you made it like a bow tie on it. So that's where you got your XY. You made you made it like a bow tie on the rabbit ears just to get better reception. By the way, I got rabbit ears on the one TV because I refused to give DirecTV another. You have to buy all of the remotes and things like that. Fuck it. For the other rooms, I just use the what's in the air, and I use those what do you call it, the rabbit ears type thing, and you get just as good reception. You don't get all the channels, but you get enough fucking channels on the TVs in the guest rooms that I don't want to fucking hear from you that you don't have DirecTV reception there. I do. I got it in my room. I got it in the living room, and I got it in my bedroom, and that's the way it is. And don't worry about it.
Did you guys ever have this? This is something I thought was so high tech when I was a kid. My grandparents that were in Paradise, California, way out in the country, retirement community that burnt to the ground. He had a remote, like a box that you plug into the wall and you turn it, and it would turn the antenna on your house to try to get a better reception.
No, I didn't have that personally. No.
I've seen that.
So
yeah,
Sharif,
it was like a big arrowhead with all the things. Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah. I just want to ask Sharif, what was your favorite pick? And I guess we're going to say one good one. What was your not so much favorite pick? I mean, great draft.
Wow. Well, we actually were tied for the most picks with 3 or 4 other teams with 11. And to me, that stung because it made the omission of who even more egregious with 11 picks. But I would say the most sensible one have to be Genty. I just hope he pans out and he can break the trend of how some running backs come in with a lot of hype and credentials, because we desperately need him to be who everyone believes him to be. Least favorite, well, I got to go back to the omission again. I got to go to the quarterback we chose to take after, conveniently, Sanders was off the board. Had we took that quarterback before him, I might have not liked it, but I could have respected the integrity and the position of the Raiders, saying, well, for whatever reason, we don't want Sanders. This is our guy. I just have to live with it. For you to wait until Cleveland jumps in front of you with a trade with Seattle. Oh, now it's safe. So we're off the hook. Let's get who's left on the board in terms of quarterbacks. And nobody was ranked higher than Sanders as far as who was left on the board, especially at that position. This might be the first time in history where the best player available was overlooked by all of these GMs for whatever vague reasons. And we did the same. So for me, it'd be Genti and the quarterback we took, Tony, whatever his first name is, right after, a few picks after Sanders was taken.
Yeah, actually, though, if you're talking about Mellett, the kid from Montana State, he's projected as the Julian Edelman wide receiver, but Cam Miller was from North Dakota State, was actually out of quarterback U, because Sharif, you know this as well, is that between Lance and Wentz and Stick and now this kid, they produce quarterbacks at the FCS championship level that go on to be very, very good quarterbacks. If not, I mean, hell, Wentz did win a ring, even though he didn't perform to win the ring. Lance, is always, it's just like hanging on, but they performed in college. So I'm really happy to see that the Raiders did pick somebody who they did have in on their 30, that went in for their 30 meetings. So, and I will say this, and we discussed this last night, and thank you again, Sharif, for being in there. The best comment that I heard today was from one of my – no. You didn't hear this one because I'm going to use this. I want the Raider fans here that is local, and I'm not going to dime them out because just in case there's hate this way. What he said about Sanders, which stuck with me, the best comment that I said was, Shedeur Sanders treated going over to these people like field trips and not as an interview. It was a field trip, not an interview. And that stuck with me. And again, that's from somebody, by the way, who is African-American. So again, it's not always the white guy said, the white guy said.
No, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered if it wouldn't have mattered if he was
the Sanders thing. Sanders is done. He's not a Raider, so.
But just to reply to Cap for a second, it wouldn't have mattered if he was Irish or Korean. The thing is, if he wasn't there, and I'm presuming this Raider fan wasn't in the room or had footage of any of these interviews. See, it's amazing how something can hit the public sphere or cyberspace, and the narrative is drilled in the heads of people where you say something enough times, people will believe it. That's the dangerous things about narratives. And we watched this kid for 4 years talk to the press, speak at the combine. We basically got a good assessment of his demeanor, his character, no off the field issues or whatever. And speaking of field trips, Travis Hunter had his own personal people filming him on night one as he, joyously jumped up and down with his family or whatever. That's his prerogative. Nobody made a big deal to do about it, and it didn't stop Jacksonville from trading up for him. But people overlooked that fact.
That Jacksonville trade is gonna set them back. It's gonna set them back.
Wait a second. Wouldn't you be excited too?
Oh yeah, I'm not deriding him for that.
And you're going to Florida to play instead of Cleveland? I would be ecstatic. I would be ecstatic. That's why I would be jumping up and down.
And all those Captain Jack house parties, he can't wait.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll go up to Travis's house. I'm sure you don't live in Jacksonville proper. He's probably living in I can't remember what the there's a thing. It's Orange City, or it's Orange Park. There you go. Orange Park outside of Jacksonville, or one of the better suburbs of Jacksonville. So
let's talk about, since we're talking about this,
Mike Sarah.
Let's talk about Cleveland. They got the Oregon State quarterback they drafted higher. So we will see what everything needs to be said. Who is higher on the depth chart? If someone gets hurt, who's going to play? That'll be in all be all right there.
Yeah, we shall see. It's going to be interesting.
And I want to hear. Yeah, Sharif, who do you think are going to be the three quarterbacks that stick in Cleveland?
Well, I think you could rule out Deshaun because of, it probably on the IR still, but they don't expect much from him. Flacco, I think, is a easy insert. Who's the fourth guy?
Sharif, I'm sorry. Say it really quickly over, because I lost, connection, so I didn't hear what your picks were.
Oh, I think you could rule out Deshaun for physical reasons.
Oh, he's out. Yeah,
right. Flacco obviously is a factor, or the presumed starter, barring he don't get injured, at his age, or something freakish happens. I know there's two others. Dylan, what's his name?
Gabriel.
Right.
Yeah.
So
fifth year.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel.
Right. So yeah, I'm not presuming Shador to be the starter, but I think he can easily earn a spot playing the way that he's played, leading two programs to decent success, winning the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, also won by Eli Manning, Joe Burrow, and Joe Flacco, as a matter of fact, among a plethora of other great quarterbacks. Most accurate pass in the game, no O-line what to speak of over there in Colorado. So he's tough. He's not afraid to get hit. He's not going to shrink in the pocket. He's composed. So I like his chances as well as anybody over there outside of Joe Flacco.
Crazy. How old is Flacco? It's like, damn, you feel like he's been here forever.
He's like 41, I think. I know he's in his 40s. I think he's 41. And yeah, Flacco is the presumed starter in Cleveland. And why wouldn't you be? They're throwing money at him. And Deshaun, they're gonna eat Deshaun's contract one way or the other, whether it be via an injury settlement or whatever. They're going to get rid of him because he was bad news based upon all of the. Let's just say if you're going to massage parlors and you want the happy ending again and again and again and again and again, it's going to get out, right?
Yeah,
So,
unless you're Robert Kraft.
Flacco is 40, he's 41 by the time the season.
Robert Kraft probably went with
him. And I know that place. It's Wild Orchid. Yeah, it's Wild Orchid. No, Robert Kraft frequents South Florida. These were places in Houston. Just saying. These were a Houston place. So in Texas, you definitely get the happy ending. Robert Kraft went to the Wild Orchid in Stuart, Florida. I know the place well, but I know of the place very well. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I guess you've heard of it. Sure. But anyway, Cap, before I head out and do what the taxpayers and trust me to do, schedule release is May 14th. So get your plans ready. May 14th is the NFL schedule release. That's less than 2 weeks, basically, or just about 2 weeks. So there's some exciting cities on the roster this year, Houston being one of them, since you referenced that place. And maybe you and I can find that place you heard about.
Ooh.
But
no. The one I know of is in Stuart. So I'll have to find the ones that Deshaun frequented in Houston. We can find them, though, I'm pretty sure.
I bet. Anyway, Cap, it's always a pleasure. I'll be listening and talk to you soon.
All right. Hey, always great hearing from you, Sharif. You take care, brother, and
Thanks.
do that voodoo that you do.
All right, bro.
All right. Thanks again, Sharif.
Yeah, voodoo all the AFC
All right,
West
that's
teams.
Black Dano. What?
I said
Voodoo
give him
what?
voodoo on all the other AFC West teams. We want all them to suck. So
we do. And by the way, I'm going to bring up something that's been kind of grinding at me for about a week. Okay, and it's something it's personal to me because it's a friend of mine. Levi Schmidt, otherwise known as Baron Raider, there was a thread that was on Facebook about a lot of the times that we got our, we're on the big screen. And there was somebody, and I don't remember the gentleman's name, but somebody basically stated, except for that guy up front. And I kind of went question mark. I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, and the gentleman came back. He said, "No, Cap, you're good. But it's the guy up front." And I looked, the guy up front is Levi as Baron Raider. So I figure out, I'm like, oh, I think I get what the hate and discontent is. For those that know Voodoo Man, the Raider fan from long ago that was in the black hole, and I know Sharif knows Voodoo. And look him up. Voodoo Man, Raider fan, and then look up Baron Raider or Levi Schmidt, or look him up on Facebook. The face paint is similar, very similar, although Voodoo is black and Levi is white. So when you take the colors of the Voodoo persona that Baron does in his face, although he actually did some things to make it a little bit different, and instead of having the black background that Voodoo has, his face is white. And I know there was hate and discontent over, they were assuming that Baron was disrespecting Voodoo Raider. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't know Levi Schmidt, this gentleman is above reproach. He is a giving family man. I don't believe I've ever heard him. I don't believe I've ever heard him curse. Okay, he's just a genuine, sharing, giving. Always going to be the guy that's going to be behind you, with you, not stabbing you in the back. He's going to be not behind your back. He's going to be right beside you. So the connection was, and I'm hoping somebody takes this conversation and puts it in a reel. Because I know for a fact, yeah, fuck you, Ed. I don't like people who curse. I got you. That was great. That's a great drop.
That's going back to Ruka days.
He was not in any way at all. Yeah. In any way at all, Levi was disrespecting or taking the persona of Voodoo Man and making it his own. Because his persona, the only similarity is the Voodoo face. But his outfit, the rest of it, he has like a top hat. He has a outfit. He wears a kilt, folks. He wears a kilt as a medieval baron. It's a medieval baron, right? Voodoo Man wore the Voodoo Man outfit. The Voodoo Man outfit. So I just want that out there because, and I need to go back to the third person in this conversation because what I said to the gentleman, and I said this to him, apparently he didn't like that, so he blocked me on Facebook.
Was he also? I mean, that's a small circle. You know what you're talking about, the very small circle. That's a black hole type stuff. So was this guy also in the black hole?
I know that he is a very long-term Raider fan who was talking with another long-term fan in Oakland that was not his seats were not in the black hole, but was a very well-respected persona that dressed out. And again, I'm not dropping names, but he was talking to him about Levi. Okay. So
at the end of the day, we're all Raider fans.
Please don't. Yeah, please don't get into that because I'll say this as well. When I first started dressing out, people came at me and said that I was copycatting Oaktown Pirate. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I had never even really made the trips out to Oakland at that point. When I became the person, I was always East Coast for most of the time there. I dressed out. I found a persona that was true to me as a sailor, as a Raider, as a Floridian, Captain Jack. Okay. Yeah, thank you. There you go. Sharif says it, and this is the point. And Sharif is longtime black hole. And Voodoo Man is a Jack popped out. I didn't pop him back, but I didn't get him. But there's no hate, there's no disrespect, there's a copycat of Levi to Voodoo Man. Because I had a chance to speak with Voodoo Man when the Raiders came down to Tampa. Somebody was there with me, okay? But Matt, that he's already made his choice, though. He's already made his choice with the Baron Raider, and it's a Baron who does voodoo. That's the shtick, and I don't think he needs to change it. And I brought Jack back in because he dropped. So I just wanted to say that. And I know that I didn't need to, but I just wanted you to know that I know Voodoo Man. And I know Sharif knows I know Voodoo Man. It's not anything that was copycatted off of Voodoo Man. And Voodoo Man is a very well-respected persona of the days in Oakland as super fans. Again, I don't like the term. But I wanted that out there. Because I with anything of the sort. And yeah, so if there is a Celtic Raider, and notice I had a place, not Celtic. If there is a Celtic Raider with that, because he is Baron Raider. And again, that's his deal. He has the top hat with all the things like that. Look it up. So I just wanted that out there. I know I didn't need to say anything, but I'm telling you that for anybody to give Levi a ration of shit, you're full of it yourself. I just wanted it to be there, okay? And Sharif says, and again, if you look up Levi's persona and you look up pictures of Voodoo Man, yeah, it's very, very similar, very similar. But there is little tick marks on Levi's face paint, and I don't think Voodoo had it. He just basically had the full mask thing without it. So again, I could be mistaken. Oh, and there you go. actually a Raider Thanos out there. I don't think it was intentional most, but most people I was. Yeah, I don't know that, Sharif. I've never seen Raider Thanos, but it's nothing to worry about because you're Black Thanos anyway. And again, so I know that in the land of your personas, there's a lot of hate and discontent out there. There's a lot of hate and discontent out there. So make sure that if you're throwing it, all the about it.
I don't get that. Just as a Raiders fan from '74, all I know is that we're Raider fans. If you're silver and black, man, that's all I care about. All the other stuff. We all cheer for the same team. We want the wins. We want to just bring it back, to the house. We want to go back to the 70s and reestablish that same dominance. Hell, man, I don't care what race, creed, color, sexuality, whatever you are. I remember when I was a young man, I used to make fun of the Niners when they had Tom Homo and Dan Buns. I'm like, when they said that San Francisco was gay. Dan, this is 2025, dude. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that. All I want to meet is just Raider fans. I have a question to anyone in the chat. Is anyone going to Bakersfield this year for the Bakerfield event on May 17th? I'm heading out there. I'm going to meet a lot of Raider content creators, and I'm going out there with Sacktown Mike. It looks like it's going to be a fun time. It's the first time I've done something like this. And the one I missed, Cap, you do all the stuff, dude. I mean, I will have a question on it in a moment. The one I wanted to see was when Metallica, a Bay Area band, I saw at my junior college at Diablo Valley College before they were big. And they're all Raider fans, and they did a Raider hype party. So I hope anyone that's out there that's watching the show, I hope you go. I'm going to be wearing my Jim Otto jersey. Come up and say hello. I would love to shake your hand. We are silver and black. And I got to say, Cap, out of all the stuff, this is a history question right here that I don't even have a clue. Out of all the different events, not talking games, the different events that you've gone to, what was your favorite one?
Are you saying purely Raider event?
Raider event, not game.
Just
not game.
As a fan, not game.
Well, let it be. Again, any Raider event is just bringing Raider fans. So, again, this is my first one. Again, been watching these guys since '74. I've never done a Raider event. So this is my first Raider event. I've seen a plenty of games, but never done a Raider event.
Right. Yeah. I would say my favorite Raider event, where you dress is Raider Fan Convention. Okay. I love Raider Fan Conventions. I've been to Raider Fan Conventions in Oakland, in Arizona, in there's been other one. San Diego. So Raider Fan Convention, going to a Raider Fan Convention has always been my favorite Raider event with a compilation of fans. But the events that I enjoyed going to was like the CTE dinners, the dinners. Okay. Those were because they're formal dinners along with the Bolitnikov charity events, the Crab Fest. I loved going to those
Raider
events,
fans,
even though I wasn't dressed out. It was a Raider event. Yeah, a Raider event where, there's the Raider events that you go to dressed out as your persona. But I always, even when I went to Crab Fest and when I went to the Excellence dinner, I always came out as Captain Jack, but a formal Captain Jack. And that's why I have my Captain Jack formal wear. So you know who the hell I am. I'm just wearing like a formal jacket and my formal tricorn. So, I get a chance to play as my persona, as myself, but it's always formal wear.
Oh, that is cool.
And Sharif said, yeah, the Raider fan convention, if he and the black hole opener in 20, yeah, that was great. And Sharif, I got you, man. I hope that we actually get some like a first. You know what? I want opening weekend to be opening weekend. I want to be in, even though it's fucking way hot. Even though it's way fucking hot for the first month of the season out in Vegas, I want opening weekend to be just that. I remember opening weekend when we had a game against the Ravens, and it was opening weekend. We had the last game of opening weekend. It was against the Ravens, and we won on a oh, I remember the kid's name. His father played for the Cowboys and the Dolphins. And he played for the Jaguars last year, and he won on a back. He was at a back catch, getting that touchdown. I was there for that. Yeah, and again, and yeah, so Sharif knows about the Crab Fest because I would see him always out at the Crab Fest. Zay Jones, thank you, Desert Raider. Zay Jones,
Sharif, did I know you know about Ricky?
Wild. The crowd went wild on that thing. So. Yeah, Ricky's. Yes, of course. Who doesn't know about Ricky's?
Well, if you don't grow up in Northern California,
there was a player on a. But there was a player, and I'm sure you remember this, there, Jack. There was a player on a poster at Ricky's. He's a football player on a poster in Ricky's, and he wasn't a Raider. Who was that person?
I don't know.
Jack?
I don't know. It's going too far back now, Cap. I went there a few times, but
okay.
I don't remember, bro. I didn't work that far away from Ricky's. Back in the early days, I worked in San Leandro for Sleep Train, which was a Sacramento company, which was all about Sac State. And I took over, at their store in San Leandro, next to the Big and Tall store, which I met. I sold Napoleon Kaufman to bed. I met Grady Jackson. Again, he's going to the Big and Tall store right next door. But yeah, I don't remember the poster. I'm sorry.
Okay, if you know who that person is, and you can get it to me, and I know you're probably not cheating because I think I don't think it would be a Google answer. But if you know who that football player was that was at Ricky's, and he wasn't a Raider, and I was just flabbergasted. I was like, wow, why is this guy here at Ricky's? And see if anybody remembers, because I always found it very, and I understood the reason why.
I'm guessing it's probably some player on the Raiders, because they
no.
were going there. No, I'm just saying maybe he was a teammate in college is what I'm guessing, or that type of connection. They fly in, they play, stay the night. No?
Nope.
Not that type of connection.
Nope.
Wow.
A very famous person, and I'm pretty sure. Hey, thanks, Carlos. I'm pretty sure this person is in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to make sure. But yes.
Ed, spell it out.
Yep.
What's up, Carlos?
Yep. This person is in the Hall of Fame, and he was there. No, that's my hint. This ball player is a Hall of Famer, not a Raider. And I ain't giving you any more hints. So if you know about Ricky's, answer that question.
I must not have been paying attention to that. If he wasn't a Raider, I probably wasn't paying attention at all.
No, good guess, Sharif. Sharif Slindo, who's obviously very famous in Raider lore for the start of not really the climax of the hatred between the Raiders and the Chiefs. And when Ben Davidson cracked him and just came up behind him and hit him in the back.
We're talking a KC player.
That actually started. That was one of the Raider rules. At the time, there was offsetting fouls, but it helped out the Raiders. They actually said now personal fouls override any of the other fouls, so they get thrown out the window. No, Ed, not Dandy Don Meredith. The only other hint that I can give you
is this like a 5x6, on the wall?
Why? I was like, wow. No, it was a big poster. It was a big poster. It was if you guys see I don't know if you can see the Ray Guy poster that I have back there. You guys can see that. Yeah, that's
it looks like I see a young you.
And on the other side of the Howie Long poster, yeah, you can see the Ray. There, yeah, the pirate there. It's a large poster. It was a large poster. But here's the answer as far as for hints. Okay, on the other hand, I'm going to give you. When I asked, I'm like, why is on a poster at Ricky's? And the answer was, and I agree with this, he might have played for them. I know the chided, but if anybody was meant to be a Raider, it was that guy. And I agreed with that, knowing, and that's the best hint I can never give you.
Man, you got my brain spinning right now.
That should have played for the Raiders. And again, in the Hall of Fame, too. In the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to give it till there's another 3 minutes to get I'll give it another 5. I'll go over a little bit over the 2-hour mark. If anybody can figure that one out.
Shit, I don't know, man.
And we got oh my goodness. Okay. Raider Dream joined. Good to see you. Night. Yeah, fucked it. Well, he fucked it. You there, Dream.
So Cap.
Appreciate
so
Night,
Spicy would always go to
No, please don't mention her.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that. I'm trying. Oh yes, Shiver's in here. Good. And I'm sorry I missed all of the people that were over there on Instagram. Hi,
hey, Sharif. I hope it's not that one.
Intent on no, Sharif. But you're in the ballpark. Quite literally. You're in
the ballpark, so it's going to be a Steeler.
And I'm waving at all the people at Instagram.
It's going to be a 70s Steeler guy.
And that's the last hint.
Oh, Sharif. There you go, dude. Okay, I like what Sharif said. Yes, he should have been a Raider. You know what? When you gave out that hint, and Sharif just said that.
Okay, I didn't see the answer.
Go look at that. I agree. He should have been a Raider. Well, Mean Joe would have been there too. Thank you, Farrell.
Okay, and I got it. No. That's the answer, Sharif. Jack Lambert. That's the answer. A poster of Jack Lambert. That's the answer. And I was asking, why is there a poster of Jack Lambert here at Ricky's. And the answer that I got was, because if anybody should have been a Raider, it was Jack Lambert. And even over Mean Joe Green. And yeah, Conrad
Well, I think
Dobler
Mean Joe
was
should have been a
nasty,
Raider
but
too. That's what I love about the 70s.
When you talk about just the
nastiness, the toughness, the grit. Both those guys from the Steelers from the 70s. So I got a question for all you guys who've been, who saw the 70s. I didn't see the AFC West. I didn't even see the most hated Niners team.
Jack.
What?
It's like I want to roll this. We're already over 2 hours. So go. What was your question?
I was going to say that the Steelers and the Raiders in the 70s was the biggest rivalry for me. That's what I just wanted to say. It wasn't the AFC West. It wasn't being a Northern California kid going against the Niners. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s. That was my biggest rivalry. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And Sharif, Nick Bonacosta is a good answer. And I'm going to say this because I'm going to cut the show. We're a little over 2 hours. But I was reminded of that when the guy who picked up me from the airport, from the hotel to take me to the airport at the Hilton, Minneapolis, said, hey, I shouldn't, and I hope that he starts joining the shows because he is a Steelers fan. He said, "Oh, I know you probably don't want to do it because we were your biggest rivals in the '70s." And I'm like, the city? And I said, Denver? He goes, nah. And I'm thinking purely AFC West. And then he's like, Pittsburgh. And I made sure, I said, so you're a Steelers fan, said correctly, and he laughed because he knows it's a Steelers and the Eagles. So you pronounce those teams up in Pennsylvania. So again, it was always, and the Raiders always ended up losing to the eventual Super Bowl champion, whether it was the Dolphins for years or it was the Steelers for years. They would beat the Raiders in the AFC Championship game, and then they would go and win the Super Bowl. And I always hated that. It's like we
absolutely.
So, but again, I want to say, who was the Penguins coach? I think maybe Rick Tocchet might be the new Flyers coach because he was let go. And Rick Tocchet is an old Flyer. So, and I think Rick Tocchet was a Flyers coach from back when. So maybe he goes back to the Flyers. With that, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. You don't know jack about sports.
I have a question for you when we get up the scenes.
Poster was in Rick. Go ahead.
Thank you, Nathan. No, I was going to ask you, you're a hockey fan, so you love the silver and black. So I know you're a Philly, Flyers fan. Is your second favorite hockey team the LA Kings because they wear the silver and black?
Actually, the Kings had a lot of Flyers a couple years ago when they were actually going for the Stanley Cup, and it was like the Flyers West. It was the Los Angeles because it had like 3 or 4 guys at team that were former Flyers. So I pulled for them. But I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where when the Flyers are out of the playoffs and they're usually playoffs, I root for the Lightning because I met a lot of the Lightning players. My favorite player is their current captain, and that's Victor Hedman. Huge and is the nicest guy you've ever want to meet. I met Vasilevsky, the goalie. I've met, and he's nice. I've also met Groff. And I will say that the Russians are what's a nice way to say this without really pissing somebody off? Their egos are elevated because, and I think it's because of them being Russian. They have that higher stature. I was going to say Vic Hedman, who's the current captain for the Lightning, is such a wonderful, giving, open, like just the next door. And so once I met the players on the Lightning, I actually grown to like them, and again, the Lightning's out of the play. They shit the bed against the defending Stanley Cup champions, so they're gone. So my reason I like to watch obviously the final, but I really don't have any,
All I know is I'm going to be watching, the draft lottery for hockey. It's coming up. It's coming up. Let's go, Sharks. Let's get the first pick again. Let's do it. Building young.
Well, I know that the Flyers got Mishkov like last year, and he was a fantastic rookie this year. Mishkov out of Russian teams. But Jack, I'm trying to show.
Yep,
thank you.
Got to wrap it up. I'll let you go, Cap. Nation, salute.
We'll be back.
Catch me on the Wild Wild West show every Wednesday, 4:30. Good night, Nation. Love you guys.
Yep. 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Thanks again, Jack. Go see the Wild Wild West and on this channel as well. And Jack Kenna is the guy that is the voice or the conscience of the Raiders. So we'll see you guys next time. Oh, Gruden's coming to a St. Louis Blues game. That's cool, Mike. Hey, if you can, go get a friggin'. I hope you're bringing something for him to sign if you get a chance to see him. But yeah, and Mike is my buddy over in Missouri. Said correctly. And I know you go to like the Battlehawks game, Mike. If you get a chance to see Bruce, because Bruce is their offensive coordinator. If you ever do get a chance to talk with Bruce Gradkowski there for the Battlehawks, you can say, "Hey, Captain Jack from Tampa, your buddy says hello," and I've been trying to get a hold of him for you. I actually got something for him that I bought a long time ago, and I just want to make sure it gets to him. But we'll see you there. LeBron is the Gretzky of the NBA. I can see that. He's definitely the recent face of it. And so now we come to a close. Yeah, not a fan of LeBron. I don't take anything about his greatness away. I'm not a personal fan of LeBron James. I like Kobe better. He's a fan. LBM, I'm going to the Battlehawks game tomorrow. Okay, good. If you go to the Battlehawks game, see if you run into Bruce and tell Bruce that I've been trying to get a hold of him for a while. I have something I bought 4 years ago, and I don't know where to send it. So I don't want to just send it to Bruce Gradkowski, care of the St. Louis Battlehawks. So if you can get a hold of me, that would be great. Folks, y'all take care. We'll see you for the next show on Sunday. Take care. Let's keep lining up the undrafted free agents and just make that team a lot better. So take care, everybody. We'll see you.